From the beginning, we said that Steve Rogers was never worthless. He was simply being measured by a standard that didn't account for his true qualities, the standard of a wartime context that shaped the masculine ideal of the time, one that applauded only what was visible: strength, stature, aggression. Steve didn't fit in there. But later in the story, when he finally gained physical strength, one might think he was now playing that game. Now he did have worth because he became big, muscular, and strong. But that's where the story becomes more complex and interesting. Because when he acted, led, and protected, his value did begin to be measured under the traditional standards of heroism: saving lives, leading an offensive, winning a battle. But in the end, the one who changed was not Steve. It was the way he used that strength. He didn't shoot thoughtlessly, didn't blindly follow orders, and certainly didn't seek glory. He led from a place of ethics and commitment. So much so that he didn't care that his story of sacrifice and service to others would end without glory, without being seen, and knowing after that sacrifice, no applause or recognition awaited him, only his own death. In real life, there are people who go from being rejected for not fitting in to being valued for what was once ignored. But in cases like Steve's, it isn't because they changed at their core. Rather, it's because they held on to who they were long enough to reach the point where they could no longer be denied. They trained, they grew, and they learned how to use the system's codes to adapt them to their own ambitions and goals. And I don't think that makes them hypocrites. On the contrary, sometimes the only way to change a structure is to enter it without letting it consume you. And I believe that's what Steve Rogers did. He wore the suit, carried the shield, and used the strength, yes, but he never stopped being that scrawny kid from Brooklyn who didn't know when to quit.